get Deepal, who's of course the reporter, the senior journalist on the ground in Gujarat. Zafar Sareshwala, you were quite active on this issue. And when we talk about the whole Hindu-Muslim fault line, we have to look at the very, very sensitive issue, the contentious issue of spaces for namaz. Please go ahead.
Yeah, Barkha, because see, I have been associated with Gujarat University foreign students for years. That's why I got involved. And I don't put videos on Twitter and write something XYZ because it doesn't. बहुत लोगों ने मुझे तब कहा यार आप क्यों कुछ डालते नहीं हो ट्विटर पे. मैंने बोला मेरा काम आग लगाना नहीं है, आग बुझाने का है. So I immediately called up Delhi, the highest level, that sir, this is happening, and I explained कि पुलिस है, पुलिस कुछ कर नहीं रही. Within no time, I received the phone call from the highest person in Gujarat, and he listened to me very patiently. And now this can happen only in Gujarat. The topmost person, he said, Zafar bhai, I am assuring you, we will have zero tolerance on it. We are going to file FIR. I said that the police is not even taking their FIR. He said, don't worry, our police is going to file the FIR. Police commissioner is going there, and we will not leave anybody. And you know what I told him? I said, ये लोग मुसलमानों का नुकसान नहीं कर रहे हैं, ये मुल्क का नुकसान कर रहे हैं. प्राइम मिनिस्टर मोदी CIS कंट्रीज में जा कर सॉफ्ट पावर दे के आते हैं. उज्बेकिस्तान, तजाकिस्तान के लोग रशिया जाते थे पहले पढ़ने के लिए. अब उज्बेकिस्तान, तजाकिस्तान, किर्गिस्तान के लोग हिंदुस्तान पढ़ने आते हैं. अफगानिस्तान के बच्चे पाकिस्तान नहीं जाते, अफगानिस्तान के बच्चे ईरान नहीं जाते, हिंदुस्तान आते हैं. तो ये तो मोदी के दुश्मन हैं, ये मुसलमानों का नुकसान नहीं कर रहे हैं. ये प्राइम मिनिस्टर मोदी जो मेहनत करते हैं, अरब वर्ल्ड में जाते हैं, इस्लामिक दुनिया में जाते हैं.
पर आप ये मानते हैं जफर भाई, आप ये स्वीकार करते हैं कि आप एक मिनट. I know. But my question to you is,
arrested 5 people and they have assured me that we will not. And then one more thing I want to tell you, ये कोई ओपन जगह नहीं थी. A ब्लॉक जो है वो रिजर्व्ड है फॉरेन स्टूडेंट्स के लिए, और वहां पर 250 फॉरेन स्टूडेंट्स हैं, वहां बाहर का कोई आ ही नहीं सकता. सो दे वर हियर टू फॉर्मेंट ट्रबल और ये जय श्री राम के नारे लगाना. और इसलिए अब एक बात बताइए ना कि गुजरात गवर्नमेंट ने इन लोगों को गिरफ्तार किया है और बाकी लोगों को ढूंढ रहे हैं. तो ये हिंदू मुसलमान नहीं है, ये देयर आर एनिमीज.
मेरा एक सवाल. आप ये मानते हैं कि जब तक आपने दिल्ली फोन नहीं किया, these are some of the students showing what they alleged were injuries, आप ये मानते हैं कि जब तक आपने फोन नहीं किया किसी को high up in the government, जो लोकल पुलिस थी, क्योंकि वो वीडियो पे भी है कि स्टूडेंट्स ने कहा वो पुलिस कुछ नहीं कर रही थी. Do you accept that the police was not acting initially?
Yeah, I said this to the topmost officer. I said आपकी पुलिस वहां है. मैंने कहा देखिए मैं ये वीडियो डाल नहीं रहा हूँ ट्विटर पे, मैं आपको भेज रहा हूँ, आप देखिए. तो उन्होंने कहा जफर भाई आप बेफिक्र रहिए, कमिश्नर साहब जा रहे हैं और हर एक के खिलाफ जिसने भी जो कुछ भी किया है हम सबके खिलाफ, इवन पुलिस वालों के भी खिलाफ हम एक्शन लेंगे.
Now there is a wider debate that when we see the images, as we saw closer to the capital, of a policeman kicking people who were offering namaz, और वो तस्वीरें मैं दिखाना चाहती हूँ. Some might argue कि जब लोग इस तरह की तस्वीरें देखते हैं तो एक emboldening environment, there is an enabling environment that is created. The policeman, by the way, was suspended, but there were hordes of people, scores of people, if not hundreds of people, who actually came out in his support against the suspension. Now, before I come to Abhijit, Ashwini and Sanjay on this, I want Deepal to just add on her perspective of what happened in Gujarat University. If you want to add to Zafar bhai, who might be leaving us to break his roza. Okay, we'll let you go. You've been hungry all day.
I'm going, yeah.
Yes, please. If tari time, we won't interfere with that. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Zafar bhai.
All of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Deepal, go ahead.
What Zafar bhai said, that he had to make a call to the highest authority. I think that in itself speaks about the situation in Gujarat. When you said hamare 25, all these comments have been made in Gujarat because it really helps. Gujarat is a very polarized, very divisive society. But how many people would have access to Zafar bhai's number one? And number two, he himself admitted that the police was a mute spectator to whatever happened in Ahmedabad, Gujarat. Number one is that these international students were performing their prayers in a pre-designated space. This was a space allocated by Gujarat University. It has been a fixed space for last 25 years. And all the people who have been arrested, none of them is a hostelite. So these are locals who just barged into the hostel premise. Number one. Number two, Zafar Bhai himself admitted that he had to make a call to the highest authority, and the police was not doing anything. The general impression and at ground level, let me tell you that the action has been initiated only because there are international students involved, students from Africa, Afghanistan, Uzbekistan, Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh. If it would have been Muslims from Gujarat, Muslims from India caught in this situation, I shudder at the thought of it. And this is the reality of Gujarat. Yes, the police delayed action, the university delayed action. In fact, till yesterday afternoon, the university was on its own trip, claiming that the foreign students need a cultural sensitivity. Instead of taking any strong action, or instead of transferring
the point you're making is the intervention at the space and the speed with which it happened because this had an international dimension. You don't think that would have happened if there were Muslims from Gujarat. Now, I want last comment.
Gujarat, Muslims from India, this was an international issue. The ramifications were diplomatic in nature.
I want the others to come in with closing comments. But before that, as I said, this debate over namaz in public spaces, and the students, I must say, said there's no mosque. Deepal, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I read that the students said that there's no mosque inside the hostel, and this was a designated space that had long been used. So this is not quite the same. 25 years. This is not quite the same as wo sadak pe, Delhi mein kahin pe, in public spaces. But still, I put to Javed Akhtar this question. He called himself an atheist Muslim. I thought of you, Abhijit, when he said that. I don't know if you'd call yourself an atheist Hindu, but he identified as an atheist Muslim. And I asked him, this was before what happened in Gujarat. This was in the context of the Inderlok story, and about the issue of namaz in public spaces. And I just want to play out for you what he said, and then we will come back for final comments. Take a look.
The road was not made for your prayer, that's for sure. Now, what's your problem? You don't have enough space. You then demand, go to the municipal corporation or to the government and say that, see, we need some place where we can worship, we can read a namaz. But stopping the roads is not right. I am going somewhere. Suppose I have a sick child in my car and I have to take the child to the hospital. Should I stop there and wait for the namaz to get over? The policeman kicked them. That's not a decent to do. Policemen are known for taking exceptions. But kicking anyone, whether that person is playing cricket on the street or doing anything, is not decent. You should not become that violent.
So you separate between the police picking, as they often do, on the poor and the marginal and the powerless.
But in theory, your namaz should not become a hindrance in other people's movement. That is not right. But at the same time, I mean, what is happening? People tend to cross certain limits. If there is some park and if there is some public place and Muslims worship there, pray there because there is no other space available, and you go there only to disturb them, that is also rubbish.
Yeah.
That's also nonsense. It is happening around Delhi, and it has happened many times. But you are praying by stopping blocking a road, stopping the traffic. That's not done.
Okay, this was in the context of the kicking episode, not after Gujarat. I just wanted to clarify that. I'll start with you, Abhijit. You wanted us to see a video. Is that video, or would you like to make your comment first and then tell us about the video before we play it?
Sure. So the video is basically, yesterday night in Bangalore, where a guy was beaten up for playing Hanuman Chalisa during the Azan. That's all the video is. But
we can show,
yeah.
maybe we can show the video as Abhijit talks over it. Maybe that we can do that. Abhijit, go ahead. It'll come on. Yeah.
So my point here
is that the video? Is that the video?
That is the
okay.
Video. Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
So, my point here is, unfortunately, in India, we have not negotiated our public space laws very well at all. Our first principles on public spaces are zilch to negative, and they're compounded by police incompetence and judicial incompetence. Unfortunately, that is the truth. The law is the law when it is consistent in its application. The law shorn of consistency is tyranny, and that is what you see over and over again in India. But there are much more fundamental first principles out here. You see, namaz, when it obstructs, exactly what Javed Saab said, namaz, when it obstructs, is bad. But these students were sitting in their wing, in an area reserved for them, in doing it. And this is why I supported those giving namaz in Lulu Mall, because sure, it's a public space, but they're sitting in a corner and performing namaz. It isn't blocking anybody's walkway. There is about 100 meters of space around it for you to walk around. How is that a nuisance? But this keeps coming back to the law and the bad implementation of the law. This goes further also. And, Barkha, this is what, I criticize the police officer who kicked that Namazi on the street, but I also criticized his suspension. And I'll tell you why. There's something very wrong. That guy, that poor chap, was just, sure, it was an illegal thing, but he was bent over on one side. You don't kick somebody when they're down. And you certainly don't kick them on the ribs like that when it is passive. Right? The problem is a systemic one. Our police are so badly trained. There are no escalation tools. It's chal put yahan se, or it's the danda.
Why do you? Okay, so the video of what happened to the gentleman beaten up for the Hanuman Chalisa in Bangalore is on the screen. Let's also play what happened in Indolok. You just said, and I want to understand this before Sanjay and Ashwini and Deepal come in with last comments. The kicking was wrong. Kicking somebody offering namaz was wrong, 100%. But the suspension of the office or the constable, I don't know if he was an officer or a policeman, the suspension was wrong. Why was the suspension wrong?
Because he's never been trained in escalation. If you go through the Delhi's police manual's standard operating procedures, I've been asking them for it. They don't have one. If you go to Delhi police training, if you ask, unfortunately, Yasho isn't with us, he could have told you, there is absolutely no escalation training. They don't rock up in numbers. There is no rule that you call all these people and tackle them and push them off the road in a non-offensive way. There is no gradation of the use of force. You saw this during COVID. Remember, they'd see some street vendor and they just toss the entire poor person's livelihood off the cart. This is a very chronic problem with the police. This is why we need police reforms. And
so you are separating between police ham-handedness, often resorting to violence when it comes to controlling a sensitive situation, excess force, lack of training. And on namaz, you and Javed Akhtar seem to have identical positions, that if it's not a hindrance, to anybody, if you're not an obstruction, then irrespective of whether people find it comfortable or uncomfortable, no one should be acted against for it. I can see Ashwini Shahi's hand go up. Ashwini ji, please. Ashwini Shahi. जी
बरखा जी, मुझे दूसरे चैनल पर जाना है, इसलिए मैंने कहा कि आप देखिए, अभी भी मैं कह रहा हूं कि पुलिस वाले ने गलती किया, नहीं मारना चाहिए था। हनुमान चालीसा पर जो झगड़ा करने वाले अपराधी थे, नमाज पढ़ने वाले जो विदेशी छात्रों को मारा गया वो भी अपराधी थे। इन लोगों के खिलाफ कार्रवाई की जा रही, 25 लोग खोजे जा रहे हैं, ये कोई वो नहीं है। लेकिन किसी ने ये नहीं कहा कि जो सड़क पर नमाज पढ़ रहे हैं उन्होंने गलत किया।
नहीं, जावेद अख्तर ने कहा, अभी उन्होंने बोला कि
मैंने सुना, मैंने आपका वो सुना, जावेद अख्तर जी ने कहा, लेकिन बाकी लोगों ने, हम तो पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज की बात कर सकते हैं, किसी का कोई बयान नहीं आया। उत्तर प्रदेश में पहले यही हुआ करता था, तुष्टीकरण की राजनीति ये लोग कराते थे और सड़क पर जो है नमाज होती थी। अब नमाज नहीं होती है, न कोई पुलिस कुछ कहता है, न कहीं कोई सड़क रोकी जाती है और सभी नमाज होती है। शुक्रवार की नमाज भी होती है, जुम्मे की भी होती है, अलविदा की भी होती है, सारी नमाज होती है। क्योंकि उस समय क्या होता था, उस समय मुख्यमंत्री आवास में बगैर रोजा रखे रोजेदारों ने अफ्तारी कराई है। तो वो चीज वो आज तुष्टीकरण पे आ जाता था, लेकिन अब नहीं होता है। पूरे उत्तर प्रदेश में बरखा जी कहीं नहीं होता है, लेकिन तभी भी नमाज वही लोग अदा करने वाले थे, आज भी अदा कर रहे हैं वो लोग नमाज। लेकिन ये मामला कहीं भी हो, किसी भी वर्ग के खिलाफ हो, पहले इनको भी सोचना चाहिए कि जबरदस्ती करके अगर एक पुलिस वाला जाए कहे भाई साहब जरा हट जाइए, कोई हटने वाला है? नहीं हटेंगे। और खास करके ये वर्ग तो एकदम नहीं हटेगा, क्योंकि ये लोग हुजूम में रहते हैं। तो मामला यहां पर था, उसको मारना नहीं चाहिए था, ये मैं कहता हूं गलत हुआ, लेकिन किसी ने कंटेम नहीं किया कि सड़क पर जो है बैठकर इनको नमाज नहीं पढ़ना चाहिए। जावेद जी के लिए मैं धन्यवाद देता हूं, जावेद जी को, कि इतनी बड़ी बात कहने की हिम्मत उन्होंने की। जी
ओके, Sanjay, quickly, and Deepal, we've really got to close. We're well past our time. Yeah, Sanjay.
Barkha, very quickly, don't look at these incidents in isolation. Look at the last 10 years. We have seen lynching in India. We have seen mob murders in India. We have seen how people have been told in Dharam Sansads that we will call for a genocide of Muslims. Let us look at it from the intensity and the viciousness of the entire campaign. You see, the truth is, I agree with Abhijit to some extent on the laws, and I agree that there must be tolerance, but this is the problem. That tolerance is dead, and Mr. Modi and Mr. Shah have encouraged through dog whistle politics a high degree of social polarization. You see, it is very easy for Zafar Bhai to say, I called up somebody. But when you let the genie out of the bottle, you have released a Frankenstein's monster.
Would you also comment on the young man whose video Abhijit showed? Someone attacked for Hanuman Chalisa during Azan. What happened to us being able to participate in each other's cultures and condemn lack of tolerance equally? I think that's all that people look for. Even-handedness, equality. Right.
Barkha, you must ask this of Deepal because she lives in Gujarat. And, I live in Mumbai. My wife, by the way, happens to be a Gujarati. Okay. Pallavi is a Gujarati. And I can tell you, I read stories, and Deepal can just confirm this, that during the Garbha time, where Gujarat really comes alive, I think Gujarat has got a character. It's colorful. They love their food. They love their dancing. And people who went there, and people were suspected to be from the minority community, they were either ostracized or they were beaten up. I read these reports, and I'm like, where is the syncretism of this great country going? It's a worry, Barkha. It's a serious worry. I think the legacy of Narendra Modi is divisiveness and hate to this country, and I need